Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year to you. Today is our 8th day of the 12 epic bourbon days of Christmas. And Raj, I hope you had a great New Year and New Year's Eve. And quite frankly, it's going to be hard to top the last drop from yesterday, but we're going to try. And we have an Old Rip Van Winkle, which is in a short stock bottle. And that is a little bit more rare. And Raj, tell me about that bottle.
Sure. And again, everyone, Happy New Year and wishing you all the best in 2022. I hope it's a much better year for all of us than 2020 and 21. But we want to kick it off with a brand that I love. I think that's what got me started collecting is I found ordering Pappy at a bar or restaurant got very expensive. It's best to just buy the bottle. But this bottle is, I believe it's from 2011. And the reason I can say that is because in 2012 they changed the proof. So this was a 90 proof, they changed it to 107. And this predates the today's bottle, which we all know, the Rip Van Winkle bottle. And back in the day, it did have a plastic top. So it was one of those bourbons that wasn't a top shelf bourbon at that time.
Correct.
We know today.
And everyone knows of, Pappy Van Winkle is taking on aura of itself. The Van Winkle family is known for great bourbon. And one of the things that is very interesting is in the 70s, when whiskey was in a downturn, when people were turning to vodka and lighter whiskeys, even the Van Winkle family had a problem selling, the market was difficult. And eventually, Julian Van Winkle II or Jr. Ended up selling the company. And what he did do is he tried to hold on to the Old Rip Van Winkle brand. And right now, the company is run by Julian Van Winkle III, a grandson.
Yep.
And quite frankly, I learned a lot more about the Van Winkle family by reading this book. And the book kind of has some distractions in it, but if you just cut through to the Van Winkle family story and Julian Van Winkle III, he is the kind of whiskey man that I would love to have a drink with.
Absolutely, and this book is written from his lens. He's the one who is taking the author through this journey. I learned quite a bit from that book too. I think you really get to know what Julian Van Winkle went through and what he's done for the bourbon industry and for us through that book. So a little bit about it, and I'll let you try it too while I'm talking. Maybe cheers.
Cheers.
It's different.
It's definitely different.
So a little bit about the Van Winkle was when Pappy was running Sitzel Weller. They had a number of well-known brands. Weller was one, or Fitzgerald was another one. And when they sold the distillery, they sold all the brands. The only brand that was still there was actually the Old Rip Van Winkle brand. It was, I believe, in 1950s. Julian bought it from a guy named by the name of Charlie Farnsley, but they never did much with it. Actually, even after Prohibition, I don't think they made it. It was a pre-Prohibition brand, and so the current Julian's father, who was Julian II, revived it to stay in the bourbon business for him and the future generations. So that was what that was. And so in 2002 is when Buffalo Trace started making the distillate for Pappy. But prior to that, and if you read in the book, you'll see that Julian actually would source bourbon from different places. Some came from the Sitzel Weller, others was Bernheim, and then there was the Old Boone Distillery. So I was trying to figure out where this distillate is from, and I really can't tell. It's clearly not a Buffalo Trace distillate. I think by 2011, some of the Sitzel Weller distillate would have been gone by then. Probably wouldn't be in a bottle like this. And the other interesting fact I found out that we always know Pappy for a wheated bourbon. But when Julian was there bottling his own bourbon, he actually used to produce rye bourbon. So the famous 20-year Pappy bottle was actually a rye bourbon and not a wheat bourbon. I don't know when they switched that over
Right.
back to wheat, but originally there was some rye additions in there.
The 20-year-old bourbon, which really kind of set the Van Winkle juggernaut going, it was scored a 99 in a tasting. And after that, it kind of lit the bourbon world on fire. And after that, a lot of people know the story. It has become one of the most recognized names, it probably the recognized name in bourbon. And it is really a fantastic story.
It is, and I think the question still remains today, and maybe somebody knows the answer, was that bottle that was evaluated a Weller juice, or was it something else? Or was it even a rye versus a wheated? I don't know. I think it was a rye version at that time. Yes, I think so. I did pour some of the today's 10-year version so we could compare. The difference, obviously, is this is a 107 proof, and this is a lower proof. Definitely the wheated. I still feel this maybe it's not wheated. I don't know.
So, interestingly enough, when I tried this, it was sweet.
Yeah.
So it tended to be, I was leaning towards it was a wheated juice. However, when you try this one, it's much sweeter.
Yeah.
In my palate.
And smoother too. This one had a
different nose too.
And actually, the other thing I forgot to mention was back in the day when they were producing some of this small stock bottles, they were more famous for the decanters. People were buying decanters and really didn't care for the whiskey in it. So you see a lot of Old Rip Van Winkle decanters, the one with the sitting, I think on a tree stump that I've seen people have.
Right.
But if you have that, if you open the juice, it's most likely not Van Winkle, a juice from the Weller Distillery.
Right. I will tell you, Raj, the collection continues to just amaze me, and it's a treat. It's a bourbon treat, and what a perfect day to start out 2022, but to sampling Old Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah. And if you remember our first edition, we actually had the Old Fitzgerald from the 50s that was made by Pappy Van Winkle himself, and that was really cool to drink what he made, and it was clearly a drink on its own. It stands by itself, I think.
It really does, and interestingly enough, I think you will find that the Van Winkle family is focused on making great bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
And there has been some changes just because, and quite frankly, they do a lot of great things, and this one's another one.
Yeah. So this one would be a Buffalo Trace distillate and aged in Buffalo Trace warehouses. The 12 and 15 are also now Buffalo Trace, and I believe 20 should be coming out in 2022, because that would have been 20 years. And so if Buffalo Trace started making Pappy distills in 2002, then by 2022 we should be seeing the 20-year that is 100% Buffalo Trace.
So everyone, stay tuned. The collection is not done, and we still have a few more days to go. So we hope you've enjoyed them, and keep watching. And again, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Cheers.